Hello, welcome to a 3rd and 4th grade presentation on tenses. Today, 3rd and 4th graders, we are going to work on the simple and maybe the progressive tense. This is a Montessori presentation. I call this the railroad tracks of time, and it's a work we have on our shelf. But before we begin, let me just give you a little background on what tense is. So the most important thing is tenses are fundamental to grammar, past, present, and future. And if you look, you can see that you have the verb symbol there for the verb and a pronoun. So the pronoun that you see there is the same as the three-dimensional pronoun you see here. And of course, our sun, our bright shining light, the verb. So what I'd like to do first is talk a little bit about tense, voice, and mood. So kids, there are three main tenses: past, present, and future. Past is something that happened before the moment. Present is what is happening right now. And future is something that has not happened yet, but will happen at some point in the future. So past is about what happened before. Present is about what's happening right now. And the future is about what will happen. Another note is voice. Verbs have voice as well, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but kids, active voice is when the verb is doing something very active. He ran to the store. You see the agency of he ran to the store. Passive voice is when you have a sentence like mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. Well, who made a mistake? We don't know exactly. So passive voice is not quite as strong as active. It's obviously in the name, passive. Typically when we do creative writing, kids, we like to use active voice. We like to have jump, run, hike, swim, crash. Verbs like that. He crashed through the wall instead of the wall was crashed through, huh? Passive voice tends to show up more when we do research writing. It's a little more for taking away the agency, and in some rhetorical senses that might be something an author might want to do. But typically, kids, we like to have active voice in our writing. I just want to put that out there for you. And finally, kids, there is something called moods. A mood is, the way the verb is sort of approaching the sentence. The indicative mood is what I call the everyday mood. He runs to the store. The imperative mood is something like, go to the store and get me some bananas. The subjunctive mood is something like he may, he might do something. The moods depend on the language. Some languages have multiple moods, more than just these three. There is perhaps the interrogative mood in some languages where the words actually change. You get different endings depending on what's going on there. The optative mood shows up in Greek. Subjunctive in Greek is the may, probably will do something mood. The if conditional may. The optative is might, so less than 50% chance of something happening. Very interesting, but I just wanted to give you some moods there. So let's begin the presentation proper. We're going to talk about tenses. And what is this? What is this? Well, kids, this is the railroad tracks of time. Woo, woo. So the railroad tracks of time tell us what direction things are going. So if I have what's called the present tense, we have something happening right here at this present moment, okay? Right here at this present moment, and that would be something like I run, okay? And when we talk about the present tense of something on the railroad tracks of time, the railroad tracks are moving. The railroad tracks are moving, and let's say, for example, the railroad tracks, you're moving along the railroad tracks of time this way. Okay, so this is no longer the present tense. Something happened in the past. You're going this way. Now you're in what's called the past tense. Okay, am I doing this correctly? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay, just double checking. Sometimes when I see the screen, it troubles me. And then another one is the future tense. The future tense is, this is you moving down the railroad tracks of time. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. And something will happen in the future. So let's go back to the present. Let's keep it simple to start. So let's talk about the present tense. Now, you kids at least the fourth graders I know have heard me talk a lot about this, but when you do language study, it's very important to know how to conjugate verbs. And that is why I always like to draw these kinds of charts like this. And the fourth graders and up will know exactly what this is. The S up top here is singular. The P is plural. And down this side here, the 1 is first person. The 2 is second person. The 3 is third person. So let me go ahead and give you an example to start. Let's do the verb to run. I run, first person singular. You run, he, she, or it runs. For the third person singular, we run, first person plural. You, with a plural, run, or if you're from Texas like me, y'all run. They, third person plural, they run. Just like that. I do think I'm going to get a bigger dry erase board and make it a little bit easier for you guys. Fortunately, I brought one next to me just in case. So this is the present indicative active. Let me write that down. This is the present indicative active of the verb to run. And let's switch over to the big one because I do think I'm going to need something a little bit bigger. Yes, this is going to be much better for my purposes. Okay. Okay. And this time we're going to do let's switch it to the past. Okay, so it's something that has happened in the past. And this is going to be for the same verb, to run. And by the way, kids, the to run form is called the infinitive form. There are many infinitives, but it's the most simple one. I ran. You ran. He, she, it ran. Then first person plural, we ran. Second person, y'all ran, you all ran. And they ran for the third person plural. Now notice, you'll note that I'm putting the PL over there. That is just the plural. That's an abbreviation for plural, so don't be scared of that. So I ran, you ran, he, she, it ran, we ran, you ran, they ran. And that is the simple past indicative active. And I probably should have done that for the present tense too. So the simple present, I should have done that too, but that's okay. Okay, so there we have it. So I ran, you ran, he, she, it ran, we ran, you plural ran, they ran. Now here's the thing. The reason I like teaching this way is because when you do other language study, such as Spanish, Greek, Latin, any language that has verb conjugations, practically everyone, you're going to have to do charts like this to learn them. I remember doing this all the time my freshman year of college when I was learning Greek, and I do it with Greek verbs all the time. So there's something called the Erised Tense that was pretty crazy. So this is what it kind of looks like when you chart it. Singular, plural, first, second, third person. And it also is helpful because you know that the first person, when you write a story in first person, it's all about I. When you write in second person, that's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You see 3 cave openings in front of you. Do you go down the one glowing an orange light, the one glowing a yellow light, or the one glowing a red light? Well, of course you go down the one glowing a orange light. Of course. And then third person is third person, he, she, it, and there are different variants of third person as well. So let's move on to let's move on to the simple future. Okay. So we did the present. We did the past. Now I'm going to do the future. Okay. And it's still the verb to run. So I shall run. You could also do I will run, but I kind of like the old school archaic stuff. You will run. He, she, it will run. We will run. You, plural, will run. And they will run. Simple future indicative active. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got here. So obviously the cue that you've got is the shall and will. I shall run, you will run, he, she, it will run, we will run, you, plural, will run, they will run. So that is the simple future. So this presentation is pretty much all about the simple tenses, which we just did. So what can we do for a review and a follow-up? So what you can do at home, kids, is you can make your own railroad tracks of time like we've made here. You can get a glue gun, get a glue stick, get some construction paper, make your own railroad tracks of time. You can also make your own pronoun, and you can make your own verb. Hopefully you've got some construction paper, and if you don't, you can use colored pencils. But I encourage you to make your own railroad tracks of time so that you can visualize what's actually happening here. So let's review. Present tense. This is the right now tense. This is happening right now. I teach. I teach right now. Well, let's talk about I've moved on. At some point in the past, I taught. Okay. And then, let's back it up. I'm going this way on the railroad tracks of time. At some point in the future, I shall teach. So that's part of your follow-up, is to create your own railroad track of time somehow with your verb symbols and everything. But I'd also like you to get notebook paper or a note card or something and do several verbs in all three of the tenses. So I will give you 3 verbs, and then you will choose 3 of your own. Okay? So the verbs to conjugate. Be helpful if I could spell conjugate. There we go. Let's do smile, walk, and eat. And you will do, for these, you will do, excuse me for a second, you will do the present, past, and future in the simple tense there. So for each one, you're going to have 3 little charts, and I'll go through another example to show you. And then over here, choose, 3 might be too many for some of you. Let's say choose 2 or 3 verbs on your own. Okay, and the extent of my art right there is Mr. Smiley Face guy. I'm definitely a language art guy, not an art guy. It's so painfully obvious. So smile, walk, and eat. Okay, and then choose 2 or 3 verbs on your own. All right, so now I'm going to give you an example, not with one of these, but with another verb. Let's do to draw. That is on my mind. So what I've done is I've created 3 little charts. I have to label them now. One is going to be for the present. One will be for the past. And one will be for the future. So I draw, you draw, he, she, it draws, we draw, you plural draw, they draw. Okay, let's move to the past. I drew, ooh, that's an irregular. You drew, he, she, it drew a very nice picture. We drew, you plural drew, they drew a picture at some point in the past and the future. I shall draw an amazing picture. Not today, though. You will draw. He, she, it will draw. We will draw. I apologize. You're going to see what doesn't look like writing here in a second. You, plural, will draw. They will draw. So I deeply apologize. The future looks really, really bad. But you get the point. The point is to draw one for the present, one for the past, and one for the future for each of the verbs you are going to conjugate in the simple tense. So that will be your follow-up. Remember, you can always go back and pause the video to find out exactly what needs to be done. And yeah, so this was pronoun. This was a 3rd and 4th grade presentation on the simple tenses. This should be pretty simple. 4th graders, for you, you've done this before. This is a little bit of review for you. But 3rd graders, have fun doing this. What I'm really trying to do, kids, is I'm trying to set you up for future language study in other languages, because you're going to be doing this all the time when you learn other languages. And I really think that's important. So have a great day. My hopeful next presentation, I'll be doing one for the 5th and 6th graders and then the 7th and 8th graders. So keep an eye out.